Hello and welcome to this edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. As always, we have a wonderful show lined up just for you, so do stay with us.
One thing we need to remember is that there are many persons out there in our family, community, wider society who may be having challenges, and that these persons sometimes need to be heard, sometimes need to be helped, sometimes need to be hugged, right? And the best we can do to promote mental wellness in our community is just to be there for people, to be able to hear them, to be able to hug them, to be able to help them, you know? And let's all be our brother's keeper and make this place a better place, and a place that is conducive to good mental health and mental wellness.
Diabetes, a chronic disease that affects so many. With November being the month set aside to increase awareness on the disease, we made sure to look at the facts when it comes to this condition. Take a look.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the show that gives you information on the latest topics. Among the number of observances we have in November, diabetes is one of them. This is where stakeholders help to raise awareness about the disease. And for this year, the focus is prevention. Here to help raise our consciousness about the disease is endocrinologist Professor Errol Morrison. Now, he has spearheaded major research and developmental activities related to diabetes care and management, and he has also co-founded the Diabetes Association of Jamaica. Professor Morrison, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, let's jump right into getting some facts about diabetes. Everybody knows the word diabetes, but if you were to choose one thing, the most important thing, the first thing that people should know about diabetes, what would that be?
It is that condition that makes you feel weak, not quite right in the body. It might not have any major dramatic, presentations. But one of the more common things is that they find themselves needing more time off from work, or the eyes getting dark. They want to go to the eye specialist. Okay, these are some, and it's the eye specialist who will pick up signs of problems within the eyes and then send you for the check, and it comes up. Or again, those who are doing life insurance policies and have to do their health checks, it is sometimes during that routine testing that it comes up. But the point is, diabetes is one of these silent conditions. You can have it and you don't know.
It doesn't shout.
So, you have to be aware that it is common, and common things are common.
Common things are common.
So you need to check regularly.
Yeah, I want to underline that first thing you mentioned. You mentioned that lethargy, right?
Yes.
That's a real symptom of diabetes.
Not feeling quite right. To put it in the average term of how someone with diabetes will describe it, he says, "Doc, I'm not firing on all cylinders."
Okay.
So it's just not quite right. And so that kind of ill feeling, which we call in the medical circles malaise.
Malaise, yes.
It should be a trigger. Or I notice I'm passing a lot of urine. I'm waking up 3-4 times at night, or every 5 minutes I have to find a bathroom. And one of the classic things in the good old days when you could pee by the tree, you could pee this morning and you're passing back, and you see a lot of ants. You see, because the ants are going after the sugar. Okay. Those are some of the kind of things. But, you can't wait on all of those. If you're not feeling quite right, check.
Get it checked out.
Even the bigger one, because it's so common, if it runs in the family, one should be proactive, checking regularly.
We're going to talk about that.
The early stages.
We're going to talk about that. But okay, so you've given me a pretty good picture of what diabetes might look like in the short term. What about the long term? What are the long-term effects that this has on our body?
The long-term effects is really a burden. Because what is happening is the sugars and the fats and what you would call the chemicals resulting from the workings of the body. A lot of them accumulate in the blood. And they are literally sticky. So they damage the walls of the blood vessels and stick onto it and narrow down the lumen or the hole in the blood vessels. And when it narrows down, it means the blood supply can't get to the tissues properly. So from the head to the toe can be affected. Some areas that require a lot more blood flow than others are more readily affected. The brain, the eyes, the heart, the kidneys, the nerves. These are also, things to be watching. And the big thing is the foot. It's far away from the heart. The blood vessels get clogged up there readily, and the foot is largely ignored. Even when patients or persons bathe, watch them. They're soap up everywhere, wet down. When they get to the feet,
it's real quick.
And when they're drying, they do the same. So they don't really pay attention to the feet. And that is where a lot of telltale signs begin and can lead to trouble.
Is that why we see amputations of
Well, that is what I was really hinting at when I say trouble, because the circulation starts to get poor. The feet are not getting the blood supply that it needs. They start to get irritant, The nerves literally cry out because they're not getting and you begin to get the complaints of numbness, tingling,
in the toes,
pins and needles. Doc, I'm not sure where my foot is. Things like that. Or they may come and you see a little pin stuck in their feet and they don't know. Things like these is a sort of symptom and signs that you will begin to recognize that here the disease is advanced.
But Prof, if I can just come in here, we're going to a break shortly, but real quick. So these are symptoms that we may see. When someone suffering from diabetes comes into the office, how is a diagnosis done? What do we do?
Sugar.
Blood sugar?
Blood sugar.
Okay, so a little ping per
there are certain values that we hold firm to in terms of, studies worldwide that have shown that, the blood sugar level should be within a certain range. And so once it gets out of there, we can make the diagnosis absolutely, not if and but or guessing, right? We can be quite sure that diabetes is there.
It's a blood sugar test. We're talking about diabetes and what you should know. We'll take a break, but you, please, stay with us.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
Welcome back. We're talking with endocrinologist Professor Errol Morrison about diabetes. Now, Professor Morrison, this month, Diabetes Awareness Month, the theme surrounds prevention. The old adage, prevention is better than cure. What can someone do to prevent diabetes?
I usually start my response to a question like that in a flippant way.
Okay.
First, you must select your parents.
Oh, okay.
In as much as you inherit the tendency. For most cases of diabetes, it's an inherited thing. And if one member of your parent, is affected, your chances of getting it is about 50% above the normal expectation.
50%.
And if both parents have it,
I'm afraid to hear this number.
You're sure to get it.
Oh.
But to try and prevent the onset of that, although sometimes even what you do still does not achieve the full prevention, but you can delay it as far as scientific information has it by watching your weight, by exercising regularly, eating appropriately, and getting full rest. This kind of lifestyle is particularly important to protect you against, the development of disease, because we really don't know, apart from the fact that it is an inheritance, so it comes in the genes. But outside of that, you may get an infection, especially those people who live in the northern hemispheres and so on. They get frequent colds and flus, especially in the winter months.
Right. And
the virus can damage the pancreas that makes a substance that controls the food and drink that you eat, So we need to be watchful of that period, because even in Jamaica and the Caribbean, where we're not getting those extremes of temperatures, but in the wet season, you may call it, again, you're more prone to it. And, COVID that we just went through can be a cause of it, because it damages the pancreas. And many other, infections, good old mumps, and, some of the flus and so on, will lead to, and those are conditions resulting from a direct damage.
Right.
And, you may also have a tumor, a growth in the pancreas, and that can lead to a diabetic condition. But by far, it is an inherited thing, and you can adjust your lifestyle to delay the presentation, not forgetting that it can come upon you like a bolt from the blue, with no family member or so on, but it just, shows up.
But is there any hope? Because you said if both parents present, you're almost sure to get it. We've spoken about, the slowdown of blood flow and amputations and all that scary stuff. But say you're almost sure to get it. Does lifestyle impact the severity of the symptoms?
It will, as far as we're able to understand scientifically. Okay, that's why we monitor blood sugar levels as an indication of us trying to keep the body in the best, range. But it's not just the sugar alone, There are many other problems going on in diabetes. So even when you're monitoring and being satisfied with the sugar levels, underlying problems can continue. And I must point out that by the time the diabetes problem shows itself up fully, it has really already been there, what you may call underground, for some 7 to 12 years.
Wow.
So by the time you show up problems, heart attacks or, strokes or that sort of thing.
Okay. So I definitely want to underline for our audience that do preventative maintenance, live a sensible lifestyle, especially a lifestyle that's geared towards reducing the onset, especially if you have the predisposition. Now, Prof, you're in the realm of scholarship when it comes to diabetes. Is there anything new that has come out in our understanding and our ability to manage?
Well, what we're doing now, is trying to interfere with that hormone that controls, the intake of your food and how you can get it into your body cells and so on. Insulin, which is made in the pancreas. And we're now able to directly attack and block, other substances that affect the insulin. Or we can also stimulate the insulin production. And one of the latest things that you might be hearing of is this new drug that has been causing significant body weight, and everybody is taking it for weight loss, but it is really approved for diabetes.
That's Ozempic?
Ozempic, correctly. Because what it is doing, and those other related drugs like that, because what it is doing is not only blocking the insulin release, but also slowing down the absorption, and telling the brain as well that you have enough. Eat no more. So it's so that is really the kind of approach to getting this diabetes under control as far as we understand, and those are some of the latest introductions scientifically into the field.
We're getting better at understanding and treating with it. All right, Prof. We're in the last few seconds of the interview, and there are people watching who need to hear what do you think is most important for them to know
for this chronic disease and related ones as well. Protect yourself by eating less, small amounts, more regularly through the day. Exercise more, walk, swim, skip, sleep. Try for your 8 hours every day. And above all, be happy. Laugh frequently.
Be happy, laugh frequently. If I could get a prescription for that. Professor Morrison, thank you for joining us. And this has been Get the Facts. We've been speaking about diabetes. And I do hope that you have gotten something very interesting from our program today, and have a productive week. See you next time.
We now look at the dangers of plastic on the environment and what we can do to help.
It is all around us. It's in almost everything we use. At times it's impossible to imagine life without it, and yet life with it could cease to exist. Plastic pollution is caused by the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment. It has extensive impact on the environment, marine life, and human health, contaminating waterways, harming wildlife through ingestion and entanglement, and disrupting ecosystems. But if this thing is so dangerous, why did we begin to use it in the first place? Even better, why don't we just get rid of it? As humans lived and consumed much of the planet's resources, thinkers began to look for a better way to provide for the needs and desires of people while keeping the environment intact. After all, nature can only produce so much wood, metal, stone, bone, tusk, and horn. The search was one for something that could replace and spare the Earth's natural resources. John Hyatt invented celluloid, the first artificial plastic, but it was flammable. Leo Baekeland invented Bakelite, the one responsible for modern plastic. Bakelite was the first fully synthetic plastic, meaning it contained no molecules found in nature. Marketed as the material of 1,000 uses, Bakelite could be molded into almost anything, providing endless possibilities. The creation of new materials also helped free people from the social and economic constraints imposed by scarcity of natural resources. When advertisements praised celluloid as the savior of elephants and tortoise, of course that's something humans could get behind. Plastics began to replace other materials such as wood, glass, and fabric in our daily items. Thus, the plastic revolution began. Fast forward to now, and plastic is in everything that we use. Our bottles, kitchen utensils, food packaging, cell phones, televisions, computers, furniture, clothing, makeup, you name it. And thus the problem of plastic pollution. Did you know that almost every piece of plastic that you have used still exists? This is so because plastics do not biodegrade. That is, they do not decay naturally and in a way that is not harmful. Plastics generally only break down into smaller pieces, and even that will take some time. It takes about 20 years for a plastic bag to break down. Plastic water bottles and cups take 450 years. Our toothbrushes and disposable diapers take 500 years to break down. It means the things we use for our comfort and dispose of today will not disintegrate in our lifetime, causing not just problems for ourselves, but also for tomorrow's people. So with nowhere to go, plastics stick around and contaminate soil and waterways, disrupting ecosystems and harming biodiversity. Marine life, for instance, mistakes plastic debris for food, leading to ingestion and blockages in their digestive systems. This can cause injury, starvation, and even death. In addition, chemicals leaching from plastics can also harm marine organisms. The harm to our environment and animals from plastic waste impacts humans who use and ingest what nature creates. Microplastics have been found in seafood, salt, and drinking water, raising concerns about the health threat to humans by way of consumption. It contributes to the spread of diseases by providing breeding grounds for bacteria and other pathogens in stagnant water trapped in discarded items. It can harm human activities such as fishing, tourism, and recreation, which rely on healthy marine and terrestrial ecosystems. Furthermore, the economic costs of plastic pollution, including cleanup efforts and damage to infrastructure, ultimately affect communities. Additionally, exposure to chemicals present in plastic additives and pollutants absorbed by plastics may have long-term health implications, including endocrine disruption, reproductive issues, and cancer. Plastics are made from fossil fuels, which contribute to the climate crisis. In 2019, plastics generated 1.8 billion metric tons of greenhouse gas emission, which is about 3.8% of the global total. Addressing plastic pollution is crucial not only for environmental conservation, but also for safeguarding human health and well-being. So, what is to be done? We need to significantly reduce plastic production and limit its use. It's something that will not be easy, but which experts say must be done. Recycling, while of some help, will not solve the long-term problem. We need to phase out single-use plastics, something Jamaica has already started. In addition to small bags and straws, the government and civil society-led agenda is focusing immediately on things like plastic lunchboxes and personal care products with microplastic beads in them. As a society, we all need to be involved in finding sustainable alternatives to plastics. Individually, we can spread awareness about the environmental movements and donate or join organizations confronting the issue. Without a clean and healthy environment, we cannot prosper and live healthy lives.
When we litter or when we actually dump garbage or waste onto the beaches, they end up in the sea, and then it creates a negative effect for our ecosystem. Just find better ways to dispose of our waste. The beach or the public space should not be one of them.
Be mindful that your actions impact not just the environment, but the future generations. We have a slogan that I always see on commercials, "No dirty up Jamaica." And I strongly believe in that. We have to do our part to set the tone so that future generations will see that example and treat the environment with respect.
It's very important that we all take care of our mental health. Good mental health, mental wellness impacts on and will affect how we live within our family, interact with family members. When we enjoy good mental wellness, It impacts on how we function in school, function at the workplace, relate to members in our community, members at church, and the wider society. So it's very important for us to enjoy mental wellness. There are some important things that we need to do. First of all, take care of ourselves. Self-care is important. It's also important for us to establish high value, healthy social connections. Yes? What we find is that people who live longer, live healthier on a daily basis are people who invest in good social relationships, with your family, with your friends, people at school, people at the workplace, people in your community of faith. So it's so important for us to find time to invest and to interact with people. It's also important for us to recognize that, mental illness can affect anyone in the community, anyone in our family, and that when we're not doing well, it's so important for us to seek help very early. I know we live in a society where there's a lot of negative attitudes, high level of stigma towards mental health and mental illness. But it's so important for us to, when we're having problems, when we're having difficulty, be it not sleeping well or struggling at the workplace, difficulty studying at school, or problems relating with others around us, indicate that we're having some mental health challenges, yes? And when these things are happening to us, it's important for us to seek professional help early. And in seeking professional help, it's so important that we choose people who are adequately trained, because there are lots of people who are out there practicing who are not adequately trained, and they can give us wrong advice, treat us in inappropriate ways. We're also living in a world, post-pandemic, after the pandemic, where we've seen a surge in mental health problems, especially among young people. Depression, suicidal ideation, problems adjusting to school and so on. And we're seeing it, based on the number of persons young people who are coming forward for help. And what I want to advise parents, family members, teachers and so on, to recognize that our young people are having mental health challenges, and when they present, let us listen to them, respond to them in a non-judgmental manner, and most importantly, encourage them to seek help very early. It's very important, because too many young people have found that they have not been able to achieve their goals in studying or career goals because of mental illness and not having gotten treatment early in their illness. So I encourage us, encourage our young people, support them to seek help when it's necessary.
And with that, we've come to the end of today's show. To catch a repeat of this or any other, feel free to log on to our website, jis.gov.jm. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.